Good morning. Come on, good morning. I'm Jennifer Davis, and I'll be your MC today, along with John, who's back in the back. Can I get all my volunteers to stand up? I want everybody to just give a little bit of a round of applause. There's so many more people that are involved in making this happen. And I'm so glad that you can all come together today to join us for the AWS Community Day. So just for a couple seconds, in case people just kind of eased in here without talking to anybody, maybe you don't know anybody, if you can just turn around and say hello to your neighbor. So now you know at least one other person here today, and that's how we're going to start off, because that's part of what building community is about. We want to connect with other people. So we do have a code of conduct. If you're having any problems, everyone is expected to know what's going on here. But if you have any problems and you need some help, any of the people who are wearing orange shirts, please talk to them and get help. If you don't see one of them and you see me, I'm happy to help you as well. We also have a rule of 3 here. And the rule of 3 is simple. This is about community. We're building community. We're connecting with each other. If you see 3 people standing together to talk, you are welcome to join those people to talk. That means if you're standing and talking, please be welcoming to people who come up to talk. If you want to have a private conversation, I know those kind of things happen, just please take it off to the side, away from the main event, so people can know that they can be part of your conversations. There's 3 goals for today. Everyone should be ready to listen, learn, and share. This is an active participation. We don't expect you just to sit back and absorb information. We want you to be part of our community. So other ways, if you're not much of a social person and you don't really want to talk to other people, you can also tweet. Tag it with AWS Community so we know what's going on. Also, if you want to write blog posts, share them with us. We're happy to share them with the wider community. We're also looking for speakers for next year's annual AWS Community Day, because you can never start too early. We do have a quiet room. We expect people to sometimes need to take a break from connecting with others, and that would be in Etanesoff. That's the small room in the Grand Hall. The Grand Hall is where we'll have all of our breaks and lunch and where all the sponsors are to get all your goodies. So if you're in the quiet room, please refrain from speaking. We have a whole bunch of talks for you today, a full schedule all day. There will be talks in this room. This is the Han Auditorium. We also have talks where it's more where you bring your expertise, and there's open spaces where we'll have moderators who will guide you through these different subjects. These different subjects, you'll see signs that mark them, and this will be in the Grand Hall. We do have breaks because we expect that you're going to need food and fuel to keep you going through the day. So we'll have a morning break at 10:30, lunch at 12, and an afternoon break at 2:45 with a delicious nacho bar. There's also beverages located throughout the building. So there's a coffee station with beverages here, one right outside the room, and one right outside of Han Auditorium. We also have workshops. So in Boole and Lovelace, which are, as you come up the stairs, just to the right past registration, in the little rooms, bring your laptops. You should have your AWS account information already. But we have a number of sponsors who are sharing how to really do some of the stuff they've got. With that, I want to say thank you to all of our sponsors, because without them, we couldn't put these events on. So if we can just give a little round of applause for all of these awesome sponsors. Can my sponsors just stand up real quick? Yeah, they're all in the other room, apart from these small group, but yeah, thank you so much. And with that, I want to introduce our keynote speaker, Arun Gupta. So I learned that Arun is just finished his 30-second marathon. This is amazing, because this takes a lot, right?
It does.
He also practices his marathon skills in his open source duties at AWS. So if you have any questions, especially around serverless, that's me, and containers, talk to Arun. He's here. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jennifer. All right, good morning. No, I'm not going to wake you up again. Jennifer has done a fantastic job of kickstarting the show. My name is Arun Gupta. I'm a principal open source technologist at Amazon. I work in the open source team at Amazon. I'm also the Amazon's board representative for Cloud Native Computing Foundation. So as Jennifer said, anything around containers and serverless, I'm responsible for the open source strategy part of it. Of the 3 rules, listen, learn, and share, I'm going to start with sharing part of it, and I'm going to be here the rest of the day listening and learning from you guys, absolutely. So really excited about that. So I thought something I'll talk about today is Amazon's culture of innovation. There are a lot of innovative companies. We are in the Bay Area, so there are definitely a lot of innovative companies. But what I'm going to share something is very peculiar about Amazon and how we innovate. This is a process that has worked for us, and we have been doing this for many years. So I'm going to share those peculiar things with you. You can pick some of these, and if it doesn't work, listen to it as an interesting story and see how you can adapt it in your culture. From our very humble beginnings of a bookstore, when we were selling books many, many years ago, we have grown where we have taken a problem and learned how to adapt it to masses. Now, whether it's selling, getting into e-commerce, whether it's selling devices like Echo, or whether it's taking something as intricate as data center technology and bringing it to the cloud. The idea is to really take something which is fundamental for customers and simplifying it, innovating it on their behalf. That's really the key part here. So we have really we have really become good at this. And the whole idea is you make it so ubiquitous that it really enables innovation for others. So that's some of the knowledge that I'm going to share with you today on how we do this at Amazon. So I'm going to start with a quote from Jeff Bezos, and let me read it for you. It says, "Invention comes in many forms and at many scales. The most radical and transformative of inventions are often those that empower others, note others, to unleash their creativity, to pursue their dreams." Now, a lot of the innovation that we do is driven by the fact on how we can empower others to innovate. That is really a fundamental aspect over here. Take a look at Amazon Web Services. This is how it was started. The problem that we faced about 12, 13 years ago is Amazon was growing rapidly, and we were not able to set up our own data centers. And we realized if we are facing that problem, our customers would be facing the same problem as well. So we created Amazon Web Services to help our own self as well. But then, our customers really liked it as well. And that, where AWS is today. Think about fulfillment by Amazon. That's another example where we already had the infrastructure set up on how the entire supply chain management needs to work. Now we are enabling our third-party suppliers, and we do the stocking, shipping, customer service management, all of that for our customers. Kindle Direct Publishing, again, something that we have been doing, but enabling our customers to innovate on our behalf. Airbnb is a classic example. This is a company that was started by 2 people who were running short of money, and they wanted to generate enough cash to pay their rent. Where Airbnb is today. I was reading economic impact of Airbnb. You go to airbnb.com/economic-impact, and it says 52% of Airbnb homeowners are low and moderate income. And 53% of Airbnb owners are being an Airbnb host because it allows them to stay in their house. So it's not just about innovation, it's about empowering others to make their life much more meaningful. Our mission at a very high level is to be the Earth's most customer-centric company. It's a very broad statement. What that means is it also can allow us to take many shapes, many forms, many sizes, the way we want to adapt it. The key part to notice here is we are not competition-driven. We don't talk about competition at all in that sense. We are absolutely customer-driven. And the main reason we do that is because if we are competition-driven, we have to really wait for the competition to do something and then react upon it. If being a customer-driven approach is hugely beneficial for us because customers are divinely discontented. They always keep telling us that this is what you need to do. And we love that part because that's the one that we keep iterating again and again. And our mission is really rooted in our commitment, that we want to make our customers' lives easier. How many of you are Prime customers? About 80% of you, and that's very typical. I've been a Prime customer for several years myself, far before I joined Amazon. And the whole aspect that I can order something and I can get a delivery within 2 days, or I can get a delivery within a day, or sometimes even 2 hours. The day I joined Amazon, my son wanted to do some baking at house. And we want to do baking, we don't want to get out of the house. Yeah, we'll try Prime now. We made an order, within 2 hours, all the goods that we needed for baking were delivered at the house. And at the very first day, my son had an aha moment that, oh, it's good to work for such a company, that I like your company. So, and I feel proud that, I can shop online very easily and I can have access to that infrastructure. So let's talk about our 4 mental models on how we think about culture of innovation at Amazon. The first one, of course, is customer obsession. Anything that we do really starts with the customer, and we work backwards from there. And we have a very specific process on how we do that, and I'll elaborate on that a little bit more. But anything that we have done at Amazon, 90 to 95% of our roadmap is truly driven by customers. We think what the customers would need, and we talk to the customers on what do they want. And then we strive to make those needs and wants meet in our product roadmaps. And that's essentially what it is. So for example, Amazon EKS, which is a managed Kubernetes service, is a want that our customers were asking us. None of our customers ever asked for Amazon Prime. That's the need. We realize that that needs to be fulfilled. So we look at both of those aspects on what needs to be done essentially. Now, Jeff Bezos says, one of the things I love about customers is that they're divinely discontent. Their ambitions are never static. They always keep going up. And that's the whole aspect, and that's very human nature. And that's the biggest advantage of taking a customer-driven approach, because then we can always keep listening to customers and what do they want and keep innovating on their behalf. The second part of it is the long-term thinking. We are always looking at what is it that we want to do in the long term. Our long-term goal is to be the most customer-centric company, which is what? Which is a vision. The details is how we do it. Whether we are selling CDs, diapers, on Amazon.com, you can buy a $175,000, 5.4 carat gold diamond ring if you want to buy that. So there are all kinds of things that can make customers happy. Or you want to sell smart devices, or you want to do AWS, utility computing, whatever you want to do. So the vision is very clear. It's a long-term company, but the details and how we execute this can matter. And who knows where we get into it. It's very important that if you want to be able to innovate, be willing to fail. That's a very important aspect of it. Innovative mindset is completely okay with failure. And Jeff Bezos, in his in a letter to shareholders, said, Amazon is the best place to fail. And you want to experiment early, experiment often, be willing to fail, and then innovate, continue innovating. And the last part really is you have to be willing to misunderstood for a very long period of time. In 2006, Bloomberg wrote an article talking about, hey, this bookseller is making a bold and risky move of selling utility computing. And they were talking about AWS at that point of time. And here we are. So we are very much willing to be misunderstood. When Amazon Kindle was launched, it was a big paperweight. People are like, this is not going to work. It was sold out rather quickly, and we'll talk about that. But the point being, let's be willing to misunderstood for a long period of time and continue to evolve from there. I also want to talk about Amazon's growth flywheel. The legend is that this was written by Jeff Bezos on a piece of napkin, which probably is sitting somewhere on Smithsonian right now. But we kind of put it on a PPT so that we can talk to you about this. The way we look at this is very fundamental to how we do product development at Amazon. We look at a customer experience. Let's go from an Amazon.com perspective. Now, instead of going to a bookshelf, the Amazon.com website gives you a unique search capability where I can just enter the name over there and I can see the books that needs to be sold or any item for that matter that you want to buy over there. Because you provide a better customer experience, word of mouth, you get more traffic. Because you get more traffic, you can invite more sellers to participate on your website. At first, when we started talking about that, hey, you know what? It's not just going to be Amazon that's going to be selling goods on Amazon.com, but we're going to invite our competitors to sell goods on Amazon.com. Like, people were blown away. Like, why would you do that? Two values. First is it gives choice to our customers. It gives selection to our customers. And second is it builds more traffic again to our website. Because at the end of the day, it's convenience for customers. They don't have to go anywhere else. They can buy it from Amazon.com itself. So this cycle kind of becomes a virtuous cycle which keeps feeding back because you have more selection, you have a better customer experience, and then you keep going in cycle. Now, because of economies of scale, the way we are operating, we are also able to invest more into the R&D of our infrastructure and lower the cost of infrastructure. Now, because we lower the cost of infrastructure, we can either keep the money in our pocket because the infrastructure is now costing us lower, or we can pass on the dividend to our shareholders. Instead, what we do is we lower our prices. Since the inception of AWS, we have lowered our prices 66 times. And no customers has ever complained for that, hey, why did you lower the price? Because customers love it. And that's the whole mentality of a customer obsession on anything and everything that we do, essentially. Now, one of the things I want to highlight here also is somebody asked Jeff Bezos that, where do you think the industry will be in 10 years and how will it evolve? He says, I don't know how the industry will evolve. But the key thing to remember is value, selection, and convenience are three things that people will still want. And a classic example of that is Amazon Prime. We started Amazon Prime back in 2007 only with free premium shipping. Okay, that was the only value proposition. Over a period of time, new choices were offered. Then there is a Prime Video. Then there is a Prime Music. Then there is Prime Pantry. So constantly, as you can see, the value, the selection, the convenience of watching a movie right from your own screen itself is super easy. And it's for the same membership price that you get for the Prime anyway. So overall, Prime is a very classic example of how that virtuous cycle has worked with value, selection, and convenience. The another part of this is, if you think about this, the economies of scale. How we are passing all the benefits to the customers, that you're paying that Amazon Prime is not just shipping anymore. You get a lot of other benefits. And the second thing is the network effect that it causes, essentially, by which friends tell other friends that, hey, I love this Prime functionality, and you should try this too. So now, how do we organize for innovation, essentially? So people talk about it, yeah, that innovation is cool. But if I were to kind of look at it from my organizational perspective, what do I do? So there are four aspects to this, essentially. Mechanisms, architecture, culture, and organization. Let me talk about them. So mechanisms is basically, in most companies' business parlance, is also called as business processes. And we don't like to call them as business processes. We call them as mechanisms, because mechanisms is a closed-loop process. So essentially what you do is, you create a process, you build a tool, you drive the adoption of the tool, you get feedback about the tool, and then it feeds back into improving the tool. It's a constant cycle where we're constantly evolving on how the tool is, listening to customers constantly. The hallmark mechanism for all product development on the way we apply these processes is something called as working backwards process. This is the fundamental way we do product development at all across Amazon. Anything and everything ever built at Amazon has gone through this process. And the key part really here is we start from a customer. Okay, now, as I said, 90 to 95% roadmap is driven by customer. So there's got to be a customer need or a want that we need to start with. Once we have identified who the customer is, then we write a press release, a PR. This is even before a single line of code is written. And in the press release, we say, what is the customer delight that we are offering? What is the customer pain point that we are solving? There is a quote from an Amazon exec. There is a quote from a customer exec. It's a lot of crafting. It's a lot of hard work that you need to go through to create this press release. But the idea is, what is the value that everybody else in the world is going to see when this product is going to be ready? So you create a press release to begin with. There's a very well-defined format for this within Amazon. And then along with the PR, you also have a FAQ, which is a frequently asked questions. What is the pricing? How does it matter? How is it going to scale? How is it going to upgrade? How is it going to integrate with other technologies? So there's a full detailed FAQ. We call these documents as 6-page narratives. I'm in the middle of writing one, and I pretty much review several every week as well from different product teams. But that's pretty much how all of the product development is done at Amazon. And then we even have a user manual ready. And by the way, all of this is before a single line of code is written for any service. And that's a fundamental requirement. We make sure the key stakeholders across Amazon are involved. They're giving feedback on this. We always tell people, think of PRFAQ as a piñata. The harder you hit, the faster the good things come out. One of the classic examples I'll talk about PRFAQ is about 12 years ago, Andy Jassy, who's the CEO of AWS now, he felt the need that, hey, you know what? This provisioning hardware infrastructure for Amazon is not working out. We need to have a self-service model for this. So he literally wrote a PRFAQ on, hey, we should start something called as Amazon Web Services. Did through 30, 40 iterations, and there we go. This is 12 years later. He's still running the show of AWS very strong. The most important part of PRFAQ is you start with the customer. Who is your customer? In this case, for example, if I look at this lady on the bottom left, she is going through a bus. She may not want to interact with voice. She may be going through a part of the town where there is not enough connectivity. She may have a touch device only. So you need to think about that part of it. If you think about where is your program or your service or your product going to be accessible, does that part of the world have good internet connectivity? How is it going to work in an offline mode part of it? I was reading a PRFAQ of Echo, and it says, our top design objective was for Kindle, actually for Kindle. Our top design objective for Kindle was to disappear in your hands so that you can just enjoy the reading. And when Amazon Kindle was introduced, it was sold out in 5.5 hours. This is a while back. Yes, Kindle itself has evolved quite a bit, but that's sort of the nature of what products, the way we are built. The 5 key questions that we typically try to address in a PRFAQ are here. Who is the customer? That is the most important part. You got to be empathetic with the customer, understand their needs and wants. What do they want really to be addressed over there? What is the customer problem or opportunity that you're trying to solve over here? What is the customer delight that you're trying to create over here? That's a key requirement over here. Is the most important benefit clear? You need to have qualitative and quantitative data. I have talked to this customer, and that's why we are able to build this service. That's why they are asking, here is the performance improvement. Here is the key feature that matters to them. How do you know what customers want and need? That's the important part of it. It really allows you to focus that, are you really building this for the fun of it, or are there customers' needs and wants that are being fulfilled over here? And then finally, we may have some appendices which would say, oh, this is how the customer experience would look like. They would touch here, and they would swipe here, or they would go to this console. And so there would be some diagrams or appendices in the overall PRFAQ. So that's, again, a hallmark way on how we do product development. Now, the second aspect is really the architecture. So once we have the processes, architecture is a toolbox that we give on how we create those products. Now, we need to give a common structure, which is without gatekeepers, which is fully self-service, that the employees within Amazon can adapt to, and they can easily get started. So if you think about AWS, we have 120 plus services. Anybody in Amazon can just, or around the world, as a matter of fact, can use their credit card, start using those services. There is no need to go to your IT department and saying, provision me this server or download this database. The service is just running right in the cloud itself, fully managed for you. You want to go global, you want to go regional, whatever you want to do. We have 18 regions, 55 availability zones, really gives you that global scale. Take an example of code.org. When they were launched like a few years ago, their initial plan was to launch only in US. A couple of weeks before the launch, the plans changed. They said, we want to go global. And the reason they could easily go global is because took the exact same code and deployed it in other regions and availability zones around the world. So that's sort of the whole aspect of self-service aspect without gatekeepers at all. Now, let's go back to the example of Airbnb. Up until 2 years ago, Airbnb has far more rooms and hotels and chains than Marriott and several other bigger brands. And their entire IT infrastructure, because the company has grown up on AWS, is managed by 5 people. That's all they had up until 2 years ago. Another classic example is Amazon Connect. One of the global company reached out to Andy Jassy that, how do you do call center for Amazon? So we looked at our call center products, and we said, OK, we're going to create something called as Amazon Connect. So you can now go to Amazon, and you can say, I want to set up a call center, go to Amazon Connect, that's a service, and everything is pre-provisioned for you. So again, the aspect is self-service without gatekeepers, so you can continue to innovate on your customer's behalf. This diagram is definitely about AWS, but the key part here is how, if you want, you can just use one service, or if you want, you can integrate these multiple services together to create a nice solution for you. So that's the whole aspect over here. Now, the third aspect is culture. This is where we talk about sort of the people and our beliefs come into play. Amazon hires builders. That's a very important aspect of how do we do hiring. And by builders, we mean the people who look at customers' problem, and they understand their pain point, and they're willing to innovate on top of them. Who understand that launch is not the starting, is just a starting line. That means from there, the work has started. Now they need to listen to customer feedback. Now they need to continuously integrate and evaluate and see how the product is going to evolve. That's a very critical part of all we do. Anything that we have ever done at Amazon has not been a success on day one, but what we have been constantly doing is customer obsession. Listening to customers and continuously evolving based upon that, and that's what has led us over here. You have to keep iterating and listening to customers to make the product and make it successful for them. Now, this is something that is very, very inherent about Amazon, what we call as Amazon leadership principles. Some of you may know about it already. Typically, if you walk into a company and you say, what is your vision, what is your mission? Like, I don't know what it is. But I can bet you, if you walk into any Amazon building, ask them what the leadership principles are. There are 14 of these. I can bet you anybody can easily tell you 10 of these. And the reason is because this is something that everybody at Amazon connects on a day-to-day basis. And that's very important because essentially the way we hire, the way we recognize people, the way we promote people is exactly based upon this. On any given day when I'm writing emails, I don't know, I use a bunch of these leadership principles when I'm giving references. In my PRFAQs that I write or I review, I'm constantly quoting these leadership examples, principles. The first one is definitely the fundamental one, which is customer obsession, where it says, leaders, and by leaders I don't really mean the executive leaders or directors in that sense. Everybody at Amazon is considered as a leader. And it says leaders start with customers and work backwards. So I would recommend searching for Amazon leadership principles, reading more about them. Originally, when the company started, we had 5 of those, but we have grown up these leadership principles, and now there are about 14 leadership principles. I don't have my badge right now, it's in my bag, but I have a small card attached to my badge which talks about those leadership principles. I want to be constantly reminded because I truly connect with these leadership principles myself. There's a concept of when we interview people, this is how interviews are done essentially. I'm not sharing a secret here. There is a loop, and in the loop there are many people. Everybody is given a leadership principle that you're going to inquire, you're going to deep dive a particular candidate on that leadership principle. So make sure you read up those leadership principles very well. So now we have mechanisms, we have tool sets, we have the people that do innovation or operate innovation. We need to make sure that there are right organizational ethos and set up to innovate. So what we want to do is we want to enable team to prototype and iterate a lot. We want you to experiment early. We want you to experiment a lot. It's completely okay to fail. And Amazon had, and as Jeff Bezos said, Amazon is the best place to fail. We have had a lot of failures. Think about Fire Phone. Think about Wallet. Think about destinations. There have been several failures for Amazon, but we learn from those and apply those learnings to other products. Whatever team was working on Fire Phone, we had to incur a $170 million loss on that, but that team then got hired back, and that experience was utilized what is now known as Echo device or Alexa. Now, the way we are able to take action quickly is we have a very specific way of doing this. We make a fundamental decision about the type of decision that we want to make. We have this concept of a one-way or a two-way door. One-way door is where you can walk into a room, the door is closed, you cannot walk out of it. Two-way door is you walk into the room, and if you don't like that room, you can walk out of the door. And these are very important decisions. One-way doors have significant and irrevocable consequences. Two-way door, on the other side, have limited and reversible consequences. Most of the time, organizations would do a one-size-fit-all kind of decision. They'll make everything as a one-way door decision, and they'll spend a lot of time going through that decision-making process. And the problem with that is it reduces experimentation, it increases unthoughtful risk aversion, and it slows down innovation. So you constantly have to think about it that, I'm spending so much time making a decision over here. Is it a one-way or a two-way door? Make a quick call, and if it's a two-way door, we can back out of it right away. One of the last pieces of how do we set up the organizational structure, which is, some of you may know about this, the two-pizza team structure. The idea is, well, it could be American pizza or a European pizza, and the team sizes could differ. But the idea is a team is typically 8 to 10 people. And the reason we set up that organizational boundary is because within 8 to 10 people, we want to make sure the team is self-contained. And there are no external communications. Yes, there are external communications, but most of the time, when the team wants to deliver, we want to have a single-threaded discussion within the team itself. These are all decentralized teams that are talking to each other using well-defined APIs. They are self-directed. They own completely what they build. They're responsible for the delivery of it. They're responsible for the ops part of it. And that's the whole aspect. And that really allows us to give full autonomy of the product or the feature or the service that we have built. So these are basically 4 aspects on how we organize for innovation, essentially. And really, we move it to the edge. So the idea is by applying mechanisms, architecture, culture, organization, we are enabling our customers to innovate for us. So take an example of Novartis. Novartis is a global healthcare company. In 2013, they wanted to run screen 10 million compounds against cancer in less than a week. They realized if they were to run that test internally, it would take them 50,000 cores, It'll take them about $40 million to run it in-house. Instead, they use AWS high-performance computing, and they did this in a little over $4,000. And they found 3 successful compounds. So that's what we call as innovation at the edge, enabling innovation for others. So that's an inherent part on anything that we are doing at Amazon is, we're pushing towards it. We are a nerdy company, so we like to say, what is our formula for how do we do innovate? So we're really looking at mechanisms and architecture that are in the company, and they're really amplified by the culture and the organization. We really put a lot of emphasis on the leadership principles. Everything and anything that we do is like about leadership principles. What is the example that you're demonstrating over there? And that's a very common aspect that we look at it here. So feel free to talk to me about this. I want to conclude by how we look at Amazon in general. There's a quote by Jeff Bezos which says, we had 3 big ideas at Amazon that stuck with us for 20 plus years. Customer obsession. And again, I want to highlight, it is really an OCD on customers. It's all about customers first. Continue to invent on customers' behalf, and then be patient, be willing to be misunderstood for a long period of time. I'm going to be here for the rest of the day. If you have any questions, feel free to come by and talk to me. Thank you.
Hello. Thank you very much, Arun. That was very inspirational. They say a conference is successful when there's people standing in the back, and there is a lot of people standing in the back, but I would like all of you to come and take a seat if there's one available. I'm sure there is plenty available. There's an opportunity for you to come and sit because it's going to be an hour or so before you can go for the break. I'd like to take this opportunity also to thank our sponsors, without whose support this event would not have been possible. All the gold sponsors get an opportunity to come up on stage and talk for a minute about their products. First, I'd like to introduce the silver sponsors who don't get to come on stage, but you can go see them at the exhibit hall there in Grand Hall. First, let me call to stage Shimon for the tree, and then I'll show the sponsors who are next, and they can just come up.
Thank you very much. Hi, everyone. My name is Shimon. I'm the CTO and co-founder of The Tree, and I'm also an AWS Community hero. So I'm an AWS group leader out of Israel, which is actually the largest AWS community in the world. We have 6,000 people in small Israel doing AWS. So what is The Tree? So The Tree is a GitOps policy engine on top of GitHub. So for every pull request you make, we run a policy check against your best practices within your organization, and we make sure that you didn't make any mistakes. So how do we do that? We build a catalog by scanning all of your code repositories, and this catalog includes all of your components, your repositories, and people. And then you can define custom policies based on this catalog to run for every pull request that you make. So we started this company by working with the community and listening to their needs. So feel free to drop by our booth and tell us what you think about our solution. The last thing is that in your bags, you have a raffle card, which is an AWS Deep Lens raffle, which I used to build something to do a face detection out in our office. So you just have to take it out of your bag and sign in, and you might be able to win an AWS Deep Lens. Thank you very much.
Good morning. My name is Brian Larson, and I'm with X Matters. So X Matters, we're an IT communication platform. When an incident occurs within any process, realistically, within a development process, a deployment process, within IT, X Matters, through integrating with your existing tools, is able to send targeted communication to individuals that will be handling those incidents. Our customers think of X Matters kind of as the glue that holds together their tool stack. So when you've got major incidents, major outages, development issues, having X Matters integrated into your tools allows you to send targeted notifications in a two-way manner. So users are able to receive notification via X Matters. The responses and actions that they'll be taking are pushed back into the original system, and therefore, whether the goal is to reduce MTTR, allow developers to spend more time building, less time solving issues, or you just need to notify stakeholders, integrating X Matters into really any of your tools is going to allow you to do that much more efficiently. We're headquartered just up the road in San Ramon. I come from the sales office in Draper, Utah, but we're hanging out over here today. We'd love to talk to you a little bit more about what we do and how we can help you out. It's good to be here.
Hey everybody, I'm Alex Korstorff with Dome 9 Security. And Dome 9 Security is a security platform for giving you better visibility, security, and compliance into what's going on within your public cloud infrastructure. We're completely agentless, and we hook into your environment and bring in information across lots of different accounts to give you a quick, single place to look to understand whether or not our environment is properly configured and whether that's compliant. We do it through two main ways. The first is the visibility side of things. What we've really seen with networking is that security groups can give us the opportunity to perfectly configure an environment, but if we have a perfectly configured network, that's usually the hardest one to be able to actually understand what can talk to what and whether or not that's what we hope to see. So we can automatically draw you a map to say across any VPC, how are my security groups configured, what can talk to what, and where's my exposure to the public internet. Second piece of that is that we can also help you run compliance checks against your environment. And compliance for us can be what most people think of when you say compliance, your PCIs and CIS and HIPAAs of the world. But using Dome 9, you can also run custom checks against your environment to say, okay, beyond what we prepackaged, what else do I need to see in my environment that defines good? So top to bottom, we want to help you understand what's running your environment, make sure that we keep you out of the news, and that everything can stay as compliant as possible. We're just over in the other room, and love for you to stop by and take a look at what we're doing. Nope, sorry. Yeah.
Hey everyone, my name is Dave Nielsen. I'm with Redis Labs. Just want to take a moment to quickly let you know how popular Redis is. It's ridiculously popular. How many of you have used Redis yourselves? Okay, lots of you. A lot of you don't realize this because when you go to build your first application, sometimes you'll choose some sort of SQL database or one of the other NoSQL databases. But what people don't realize is that as soon as your application starts to inflect, you start to hockey stick, Redis is extremely popular in that second wave, right when you need that speed. So that's why you'll find most applications that you know of, most of the big logos, they're using Redis in there. For example, the obvious ones like Twitter have like thousands of Redis instances. So this is also becoming really important around microservices because as you add more and more of those services, everything starts to get very chatty. And so speed adds, delay after delay after delay connecting really adds up. So you want something really fast. So anyway, Redis Labs is the home of Redis. We employ the creator of Redis, Salvatore, and we offer Redis as a service on AWS. You may have heard of Elasticache. Elasticache uses Redis. We offer Redis. We also offer Redis in your VPC where we manage it, and then we have enterprise Redis software which you can run wherever you want. So come stop by our table. We're actually doing a raffle. Come talk to us about microservices and come get a t-shirt. All right, thank you very much.
Good morning, everybody. My name is Dave McCaw. I'm with Redlock. I've got about 60 seconds, but I want to take 5 seconds to thank the volunteers and the community members who pulled together this event. So can we please give them all a round of applause? Thank you, Neil. For those who aren't familiar with Redlock, we are a platform that provides visibility, compliance, and security across public cloud infrastructure, so AWS, GCP, and Azure. The three primary use cases that we're trying to solve: first off, visibility. We approach this in a different way. So if you think about the security approach in the traditional on-prem world, you always have to start by securing what you can see, what you understand. So we've pioneered the concept of creating, think of it as a CMDB for your public cloud environment. So we go out, we catalog all of your assets across all of your cloud footprints, track all the configuration changes against them, provide you that asset inventory, and then show you the connectivity between all of those assets. After we understand your assets and the connectivity and the exposure to the internet, the next thing that we do is we analyze all of the data and use machine learning to identify threats. So we're looking for threats across the network layer, configuration, and user activity. After we've done all of this analysis, identified your threats, mapped to your compliance, we then enable you to go and act upon those results through automated remediation and alerting workflows. So if you'd like to learn more about our platform, come see us. We're in the innovation area. And we are also running a workshop at 1:15 today in the Lace Room. So please join us there. Thank you.
Thank you again to all of our sponsors. So I want everybody to take a second. Oh, we got one more.
Sorry, I'll be very quick. So, like everyone else, we're a cloud security company. I'm Chris Pedigo. We're doing a talk between 11 and 12, and what we're going to do is give you some of the learnings we have had on securing your AWS account. In addition to that, I'm a AWS certified solution architect at the professional level, so if you have any questions around migrating to the cloud, AWS related stuff, we'd love you to stop by our desk over there. Thank you.
Thank you so much. One more round of applause for our awesome sponsors. So if I can get everybody to just do a little stretch, stretch, because we gotta make sure we're wide awake for this next talk. Stretch high. Okay, pat your head. Okay, no, sorry, that's for my son. We do have workshops starting at 11 o'clock, but first we have the awesome